Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today though, as it's going to be BenBotBC taking on BenBotBC. Continuing on our trend of seeing bots play versus themselves to get a nice look into them. And yeah, we have what should be a good one here today, as BenBot is a bot that's cast a lot on the channel, and so I figured naturally the only way to cram more BenBot in is to have BenBot play versus BenBot. Now, looks like there's a pretty good response to this proxy, as BenBot does shut down its own proxy that it went for on each side of the map. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as this silly match gets going, make sure to click that like button if you haven't already. If we can hit 50 likes, that would be amazing. You guys always blow it out of the water with the likes, the comments. We do have the blue Terran BenBot trying to resume this Rax. The SCV gets stabbed a few times. The red one, interestingly enough, is not even trying to do that. Now, it's like BenBot is having, well, the blue BenBot got a little more HP on its Rax, so it's still alive. It's building a new one in the main, whereas the red one still seems to, well, it's just building one inside its main, so already a little bit of deviation in this match. That could be solely from, say, like the timing on the SCVs, where they build, like where they sit inside a building structure, changes how quickly they can be killed off, which is one of the more random things in StarCraft 2. So we get a slightly earlier tag all in from the blue BenBot, whereas the red one, it takes longer to clean up that Rax. It does start up a bunker at the front of its base, as does the blue BenBot. And yeah, just things looking fairly even at this point. Despite that slight little deviation, we're getting an SCV scout. And yeah, I guess I could just hold up a mirror and sort of see the same thing on each side, as that's what we got. Double bunker from the blue BenBot. The red BenBot is just saying, just one bunker for me. It's the more risky, I guess, of the two BenBots. But the red BenBot is floating a lot more resources than its counterpart. It does eventually hit that gas mark, so it can throw up a factory. So then the build will continue on, so we can sort of see that BenBot's build is a little linear, which is definitely good in a lot of cases. However, for example, it would have been better off if the red BenBot had started this CC earlier, but it's something that I guess a lot of bots do struggle with, is having that, like, not having that linearness in their initial openings, and that sometimes causes them to wait and hang up on certain things. So we do have an SCV scout for the blue BenBot, same with one for the red one, and then two bunkers up at the front. I think this may be a good one for everyone to make some popcorn, grab a drink, that type of thing, as BenBot is known as one of the more turtley late game bots. So there's a reasonable chance that we won't get a move out from either side just yet. Both bots building Marines, building Hellions. The blue BenBot is in the lead a little bit. I don't know if it's just like a human thing to root for the underdog, but it seems whenever I do these mirror matchups, somehow I end up like subconsciously rooting for one of them a little bit more than the other. Now we do get a move out, as these two armies are going to meet in the center of the map. The red one is definitely outgunned a little bit, outgunned by a Hellion and a Marine. We do see some micro, except that one Marine is microing when it really shouldn't be. The full HP Marine was like, no man, I'm not doing it. So I guess there are some cowardly Marines. I can't blame him. He will sort of lead the blue BenBot's army away. All in all, though, there shouldn't be too much to worry about, because there is those bunkers at the front. And so the red BenBot will be pushed away. There is a tank on the way for each of the BenBots. A Viking is being produced by the blue one, as it does have that slight lead, slightly quicker starport. But yeah, fairly even, all things considered, but a definite slight lead. Ever so slight for the blue BenBot. Now, a tank is moving out. Is that going to get aggressive, potentially, for the blue BenBot? No, it does turn around. A Hellion tries to run by that tank. It will have a bad time, though. And it does not escape. So, again, BenBotBC Test is able to get a nice little advantage on its opponent. And we just sort of see how one thing can scale dramatically in these bot games. Now, sometimes being the defender is much better than being the aggressor in these bot games, as the blue BenBot does go for an attack. It eats a tank shot. We get a tag build order issue from the red Ben, but nothing from the blue Ben, which is interesting. I really don't know what the cause of that tag would be. I do notice that there is a difference in the command center timing, so maybe that. Maybe it comes down to like building placement or something like that. But all in all, both of these bots are still macroing up. Viking flying around. And yeah. If you guys do enjoy these matches, these mirror matches of the bots, let me know. I do have to bug the bot authors in order to run these replays, but they seem happy to do it. I mean, we've done -0, we've done BenBot, we've done Xena at this point on the channel. I wouldn't mind casting some of them again, like the -0 versus -0 game was phenomenal. So I wouldn't, yeah, I'd be happy to see that again potentially. But if you do want to see some of the other bots play versus themselves, like who knows, maybe a Cannonana versus Cannonana or something would be interesting. Viking versus Viking. These two will probably kill each other unless they decide to retreat. They do, so gentleman's agreement there. Meanwhile, there is the command center done for the blue BenBot, and that's floating on over, but the red one's not far behind, and the battlecruiser count is going to grow. There was 100% chance of battlecruisers when queuing up a BenBot versus BenBot match. As, yeah, it's just such a slight lead for the blue one at this point. I think this game could really go either way at this point. It is somewhat concerning how the red one is the only one that's like build order issue, when then the blue one's just cool as a cucumber. So we get drilling claws, high sec auto tracking on the way, but the third base will be established on both sides here. Planetaries. This game could potentially get very interesting if we do get battle cruisers teleporting on into each Ben's base aggressively. That extra gas will definitely help out both sides. Widowmine kills off a scouting Hellion, so that's nice. So far, there's been just one dead on each side, actually. Units lost is very, very close. That other Hellion does manage to escape. We've got an extra CC building for each of these bots. This is interesting. This is definitely a slight deviation here. Somehow the red Terran was able to get up a fourth command center quicker than the one that got up the quicker third command center. So this is really funny. The only thing that I can think of that caused this deviation is the fact that the blue one landed its third base quicker, so then it spent more money building the planetary and the refineries, whereas the red one didn't have that money as quick, so it did fire up, or didn't have that obligation to spend money as quickly, so it did actually have money for the fourth base sooner. It is definitely interesting how little things can really affect the games, as all of a sudden the red BenBot does have up that fourth command center, and that will be turning into a planetary at some point, I imagine. There's a fifth base on the way already, though, and in these bot versus bot games, whichever bot expands first can sometimes be the victor. The red Ben is throwing away Vikings, though, which is definitely not good when this game is going to potentially come to a head of Viking versus Viking battlecruiser. As two Vikings are flying forward, one does go down. That's very, very painful for the red Ben. And We do have a little economic lead for the blue Ben as it's leading in the workers ever so slightly. The red Ben already has that 4th base mining, though, with the gases. Battlecruiser lands a Yamato cannon on a battlecruiser. Interference matrix does connect, and so the red BC has no choice but to run for its life. It's going to be close if it can escape, but I think it's done for. So massive, massive loss for the red BenBotBC, as it's lost 5 Vikings and a battlecruiser compared to its opponent, which has lost nothing. I mean, the supplies are still very, very close. We are getting that 5th base already on the way for the red Ben. Blue Ben, it's still got to finish that and float it over. There is no 6th base started yet. But yeah, that's quite painful, losing that location or losing that battlecruiser for BenBot. A BC costs more resources than a base, so it's very significant. This is one of the things that I've recently noticed casting BenBot games, was that the 6th base is built on location. I don't know if it's like a distance thing or what, but BenBot does elect to build the 6 on location. It floats 3 through 5, but then it always builds 6 on location, which is definitely a little funny. Now, battlecruisers are on the way for the blue BenBot, whereas it's Vikings for the red one, probably because it's lost so many. It's needed to build up that count. Vikings can be very important on both sides, Ravens as well. And both of these bots are building up their army. 6th base for the red Ben is done much sooner than its opponent, which is quite nice. This base is landed and turning into a planetary, which is when the blue BenBot does start building that next location. Widowmine doesn't fire. It gets killed off thanks to that Raven, as the blue BenBot does attack into this planetary, which could be very costly, as the defender's advantage can be very real in these bot games, and all the bio of the red BenBot is moving forward, whereas most of the bio for the blue BenBot did actually go down. However, the red Ben is afraid to take that engagement, and the blue BenBot definitely has a lead in the Viking versus Viking count. So those tanks are getting some really, really nice shots off. It's 8 to 9 Vikings presently. The defender's advantage could potentially overcome this, but we do see the red BenBot taking a fight, losing some of its Vikings, which is very, very painful, as the snowball effect when it comes to units like Vikings is so, so real. Auto turret does get dropped on one of the tanks by the Raven. It will go down before it kills that off. We're getting BCs coming in too. So BC production versus Viking production, as we do have a bit of a difference between these two bots. Turrets helping out, forcing battlecruisers back. It does just seem, though, that the blue BenBot is able to push on in here and keep bullying its opponent. That red BC does get forced away. Vikings in the sky for the blue BenBot are still having some success. Battlecruiser does eat a Yamato cannon and does have to fly home. It doesn't get to teleport, as that was on cooldown. The blue BenBot is on 6 bases. The red BenBot is on 6 bases. But definitely down on army here, as the Viking count is presently 7 to 11, with a battlecruiser lead as well for the blue BenBot. Vikings and BCs are moving forward. BenBot didn't have its BCs here to support, so maybe the red BenBot can take this fight, and it looks like it does okay. Auto turret gets dropped. It does get taken out right away. BC coming on in will help out, as these tanks are sitting ducks without their air support. And so the red BenBot does hold on for now. Auto turret's going to help clean that up a little quicker. And there is a world in which the red BenBot can max out, and then it's basically an even game, minus a few thousand resources extra lost, which, well, that could actually be significant in the long run. So we will have to keep an eye on that. High-sec auto tracking enables this PF to shoot units nice and far away, as the red BenBot is now having to defend yet another base. Vikings flying into Vikings as battlecruisers get involved in the fights. A Raven goes down. BCs flying on top of this planetary. The turret falls, so the BCs have free reign here. Viking versus Viking is quite important. The red Terran bot does seem to be in quite a bit of trouble, though. We hear the tag jump fortress as one BC comes in to help out. Will there be a Yamato cannon off that? The answer is no, as that's on cooldown. Vikings are helping out, though, as the blue BenBot does seem to have retreated a little bit. And so the red BenBot does hold on to its planetary. and is able to get some more SCVs over there to help out and repair. Neither of the final bases have been taken, the ones with the rich Vespine Geyser. BenBot jumps in another battlecruiser to help out at this location. It does have Yamato Cannon. Will we see that get queued up? Doesn't look like it, as it's just running for its life now. The red BenBot does have its Vikings flying around. Yamato Cannons do get queued up by the blue BenBot. Very beautiful Viking micro on these Vikings, just getting on top of the BCs and really abusing them. That's what happens. Vikings can fight BCs if they have perfect micro. Even without it, really, but with perfect micro, a Viking should never die other than the one token death to the Yamato Cannon of the battlecruiser. And so it looks like the red BenBot does pretty well in the skies as it leads Vikings 13-6 now. The blue BenBot is more so into the BCs, which, I mean, BCs trickling in one by one against Vikings is not good. Now, we are seeing these Vikings do their thing, force these BCs to teleport away as they try and stay out of range, but the Yamato Cannons are being queued up, getting kills before the BCs do end up retreating. More tanks rolling up for the blue BenBot as the red bot has just been close to hitting that 200 supply mark, but it has not succeeded in that yet. Its own BC comes in to help out with a Yamato Cannon. I mean, might have been a little overkill there. Interference Matrix hits the battlecruiser, and just a non-stop skirmish between these two. Both these BenBots trying to out-BenBot the other BenBot. Tactical jump to avoid a Yamato Cannon there. And yeah, both of these bots are just chilling on 6 bases. We've yet to see a 7th base attempt from either one of them. Sometimes bots don't actually end up taking those final bases, which could be significant in this match. I'm not sure what condition would need to be met in order for the blue BenBot to try and expand to either of these spots. It could just be maybe mining out. We did have a game the other day in which BenBot took lots of bases, including like the middle gold one. I can't remember the map name, but it does seem to sometimes take all the bases on the map, just not in this one, so we'll keep eyes on that. The blue BenBot is having a very successful attack coming on in. It's yet to break the planetary, but this does seem quite lethal here as BCs are just floating on over this. Red BCs come in to try and save the day. Yamato Cannon's going down, and more Vikings and red BCs coming in. This is just a non-stop battle between these two battlecruisers being teleported home in order to get repaired up, to get back to that front line. We have had 2 BCs die for the red BenBot, 1 for the blue one, so that is a nice lead. Oh, I may have jinxed it, though, as that BC does go down before it can escape. And, yeah, defender's advantage can be quite real in a situation like this. Resources lost is in favor of the blue BenBot. I don't know why, but I'm cheering for the red BenBot, probably because it is the defender at this point. Vikings are doing quite well, chasing away the BCs, but more BCs coming in. Will they get a Yamato? No, it's on cooldown, so BCs against Vikings in bot games are pretty much useless unless they have Yamato or teleport. And upgrades are still rolling on both sides. No Thors being added in yet. It would be interesting if we do get some of those, as they could greatly impact this air battle. The red BenBot holds on, though. Eventually, one of these bots will mine out. Somehow the red BenBot has got a much higher income than its opponent, despite having very, very similar worker counts. I guess the blue BenBot just has a bit of a gas bank, so... No, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Maybe the blue BenBot has to do more repair. That's all I can think of. Yeah, so we do have extra SCVs just having to be used on the repair for the bot that is higher up in the battlecruiser count. We've got these skirmishes still going on. The red BenBot is trying to expand down here, it seems, as it sent an SCV-2, but that's not going to happen, guy. And yeah, the red Ben is actually moving out for an attack now to try and hit the blue Ben's base, and blue Ben is quite out of position. It can always teleport in its own BCs to help on out here, and the red Ben does seem to abandon that assault for now. It's thinking about it, though, as it does go for it. It's down in Vikings, down in battlecruisers, so Things aren't looking too hot for this. We do have the tag jump enemy base from the blue BenBot as it actually elects to go for a counterattack. And I think these BCs will destroy this planetary. So can the red BenBot destroy the blue planetary? It doesn't look like it, as there's plenty of Vikings to come in to help out. We hear the tag jump fortress. Not sure which fortress they were jumping to, but if they did, it was definitely too late. The blue BenBot is looking to secure this base in the upper right. Which definitely is interesting here, as, yeah, it's interesting that the blue BenBot was like, yeah, give me this base, but neither of them has elected to expand here, which does make me wonder why that is. And, yeah, there's not a lot that's looking too good here for the red BenBot upon losing that base. Like, that is a big, big loss. There is not, well, there's going to be less income over time because of that, so there's going to have to be some sort of successful counterattack from the red Ben if it wants to win. I mean, Vikings are still doing their things. There is now 15 Vikings against 7, so that is promising. One SCV is here. If only it would attack the SCV that's building that base, but it doesn't. There is the random turret, which is quite comical. Vikings against Vikings as the red Ben does move on in. Yamato cannons killing off some Vikings. Marines, though, cleaning up that turret. And yeah, Red Ben really needs to get something done. But when your armies are virtually, well, I was going to say virtually identical. They're similar, but there is some big differences. More Vikings versus more BCs for one of the Bens. Positioning definitely does matter, as the Vikings for the blue Ben do come in a little bit ahead of things. And so they do sort of lose that one. Lots of Yamato cannons going down from the blue BenBot, though, as these BCs move forward and destroy the red Ben's Viking lead. It's now even on the Vikings, then down in the battlecruiser count, which is no good. And so red Ben does take a big defeat there. And we do eventually get the blue Ben securing up this location, which is interesting. The only thing that what I think probably happens in regards to the base logic is that BenBot probably wants to take the bases in sequence. So it probably won't try to expand here unless it has taken this base. That's my assumption, because it doesn't make a ton of sense otherwise. Who knows, though? But yeah, things are looking quite promising for the Ben. We get a tag stuck SCV. Oh, I did not mean to ping. Pardon me there. Red Ben looking to try and take a good fight, as the blue Ben does commit on in. The defender's advantage usually is quite nice in these situations, as Vikings and BCs engage Vikings and BCs. Yamato cannons going off all over the place. More Yamato cannons being queued up as one BC gets fast-tracked to deletion there, as a few Yamatos do kill off one BC. BenBot's trying to hit this planetary, but it's too late. It would be better off focusing on this spot, but that's not happening. Blue Ben does end up securing up this location, so it's planting its flag. It must be sequential as far as how it wants to take the bases. And yeah, that things aren't looking good for Red Ben here, guys. I was cheering for the underdog bot, but I think it's just going to be a matter of time, because the programming's obviously the same, so there's not going to be some miracle unless fate, and I don't know, the butterfly effect somehow led to a massive victory for the Red Ben. It does take quite a nice fight there, as the Vikings do away with the blue bot's Vikings. But I mean, there's SCVs repairing a turret there. There's so many BCs for the blue BenBot, 10-6, and that's just too many for even the Vikings to overcome that, I believe. I mean, the Vikings are doing quite nice for themselves. But, like, the Red Ben needs to kill a base pretty much immediately for it to come back here. Looks like it may grab a Viking. No, the Viking gets away. Viking versus Viking. We do hear some clicks as battle cruisers are teleporting all over the place. heading back home to be repaired. There is a lot of supply caught waiting to be repaired, but BenBot does pull extra SCVs in to help with this, so they will get back to work quite quickly. The red BenBot is taking a nice fight since all those BCs are out of action during this. And, I mean, there's a little bit of promise there, but it will have to be very quick in order to potentially clean up one of these locations. Or either that, or it needs to get like some sort of snowball going in which the blue BenBot is trickling in BCs, which is something that can happen here, as we do see one of them go down. But here comes in 4 or 5 BCs. That's going to be a lot of Yamato cannons, and the Vikings can try and do what they can, but they all have teleport as well, so tactical jump will help keep those alive. Actually, they're off cooldown. They're on cooldown, just barely, pardon me. But it looks like they will still escape. The Viking count is very real for the red BenBot, as it is just cutting everything up. The Yamato cannons are very painful, though the red Ben really is starting to run out of money here. And yeah, unless it takes the base soon, it will be in trouble. We're getting some issue for the blue Ben. But red Ben has yet to be able to clean out a location. This BC does begin hitting this location. There is a turret there, though, that can be repaired up. We'll need a Yamato or something to handle that. Viking against Viking. Lots of chat spam. No idea what that is. I'm guessing it has something to do with battle cruisers or Vikings, though. And we are starting to see the red Ben fall in supply, as it can't maintain these trades. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, click that like button if you haven't already. And if you want to see more of these bot mirror matchups, type more bots or just more mirrors. If you just want to see more old regular bot versus bot matches, go ahead and yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you've watched up until this point in the video and you're not subbed, what are you doing? And then go ahead and check out the YouTube membership program if you do want to support this channel. We do get a friendly BC coming in. I do have to keep the sound and chat off, though, as we are getting that classic BenBot spam. There's no way in the client to turn that off, unfortunately. If only Blizzard had forethought about potential bot chat spam. BCs for the red BenBot are hitting this base, and I mean, they are having some success. The turret is dead. There is a world in which the red BenBot can kill this off somehow. It's pretty much completely broke, though, spending all its money on repair. It's got so many extra SCVs, and yeah, it doesn't even have the money to build a base. So, like, it did eventually make some headway, but just not quick enough. The blue BenBot has been out trading its opponent. I mean, resources lost is actually neck and neck now. 46,000 versus 46,000. So it did get better in the end for the red BenBot. But yeah, just the blue BenBot can spend more money in order to come out ahead there. The red Ben is going to go for one final Hail Mary attack, it would seem. And both these bots are down in supply a little bit. Just these units, once they take damage, they shall not be repaired very quickly. As BenBot is sending some SCVs to long distance mine. This is going to be a disaster as they do run into that planetary. I mean, BenBot's like, I need money. I gotta get money, as the PF just deletes so many SCVs. It's very painful. I don't mind the decision, honestly, because you gotta get money somehow. Just, if there was a free base, that would have been the better target, but there wasn't, so yeah, BenBot's like, well, I guess you guys are gonna make the risky trip. It gets a few minerals, but not quite enough, I don't think. And watch it just build an SCV after, if it does get enough money. That would be peak comedy. It's spending it on repair. A very, very slow death here. But it is indeed a death. Who'd have thought? BenBot wins the BenBot versus BenBot match. And that is going to be that. So we learned a few things, I think, about how BenBot operates, maybe from this cast. Definitely the late game Terran bot for the most part. Planetary still killing more poor SCVs. 76 kills on it. Yeah, the red Ben, I mean, was quite close in resources lost at the end, but yeah. Yeah, as always, late games do come down to whoever has the most bases. GG.